I suspect the topic of self-love is going to run over a number of sessions because, yes, I recognize that acceptance of my own flaws is a part of self-love. But it can't possibly only be that, because when somebody loves you, they love your sense of humor, they love being with you, they love speaking with you, they enjoy your, physical appearance, they enjoy your company, they see you as enough, they validate you. And no, I'm not being unrealistic. Obviously, if you do things that are horrible, they will point it out. And that in and of itself is also love. Telling someone something that they're doing that is horribly wrong is love. You think of a parent with a child who is addicted to substances. That parent would be remiss if they didn't speak to the child about the drug abuse, if they didn't try to help the child get past the addiction. And ultimately, if the abuse doesn't stop, there is a form of love that says tough love. If you won't do it, I'm not supporting you at all anymore. And very often that comes once the child has started stealing things and selling them in order to buy drugs and substances. But that's not part of this conversation. What is self-love? So we know partly what love is. But what is love of the self? It can't only be acceptance. It can't only be recognizing what is good and what is bad about one. Surely it must recognize and validate one's own feeling. So if I'm feeling hurt, upset, angry, happy, sad, joyful, I need to acknowledge and accept my feelings, and I need to be able to express them. How many people do you know who are sad and will never say anything? They will never cry. And it's not only boys who don't cry. There are a lot of girls who don't cry. There are a lot of people who get up in the morning and cry their hearts out in the shower and then go about their day, and nobody is any the wiser that they are going through an absolute shitstorm inside. Is self-love not also expressing that openly? And no, I'm not predicating that you become a simpering wuss where you cry every 5 minutes in front of every Tom, Dick and Harry in everything that you do. But acknowledge your sadness. Acknowledge where it's come from and why. And what can you do to repair it? What can you do to feel better, to heal? Is that not self-love? Is that not part of self-love? Because if I'm not comfortable enough to cry in front of a friend who is hurting me, I don't love that friend, and I certainly don't love myself. obviously, if that friend is hurting me and they are being malicious, there is absolutely no way that I will cry in front of them, ever. That is also self-love. It is recognizing the emotion and expressing it if it's appropriate. I will not show a weakness to somebody who is maliciously attacking me. And I seldom will even get angry with somebody who is maliciously attacking me. I will probably never speak to them again. But they won't get an emotion out of me. I might cry about it on my own later. I might rant and rave about it on my own later. But I will not show a vulnerability to a person who is being malicious. Is that not self-love? Not showing a vulnerability when ultimately that vulnerability can lead to manipulation, abuse, gaslighting. Is that not self-love too? And by the same token, showing vulnerability when you feel safe with the person that you're with. So, how do I begin to figure out how to love myself when my entire existence has revolved around not being enough, being insulted, degraded, and belittled, teased? Oh, I was just teasing. Oh, I didn't mean it. I was drunk. I would never do that to you. Oh, I can't remember saying that. You must have imagined it. That is how I've grown up. So, how do I begin to love myself when I don't know how to? When my value has always been derived from pleasing other people, from making them happy so that they don't make me unhappy. Until, of course, they do. Because everybody eventually does. Everybody eventually does. No matter how nice I am. Everybody eventually figures out a way to hurt me. Some are worse than others. And I may be exaggerating at this point. I know one or two people who have never stuck a knife in my back, or for that matter in my face. But so many people who I have communicated with, cared for, helped, shared with, spent time with, been a friend to, have ultimately stabbed me in the back, have ultimately told me what a heap of rubbish I am, in some shape, form, or size. And then I have to wonder, well, is there something wrong with me? Because I'm the common denominator. I'm the common denominator. I'm the one who is on their own. Is it that I don't keep on and on and on and on allowing people to hurt me? Is that why I'm on my own? Or is the fact that I get hurt neither here nor there? It's just a case of I'm overly sensitive, I'm overly pathetic. And, nobody's trying to hurt me after all, and I'm just imagining it. And of course they can't remember doing it, so it couldn't possibly have happened. So we have the whole rewrite of history going on. And I sit there and I say, well, hang on a minute. What is wrong with me? am I actually mentally deranged or deluded or something, that I'm doing things to people who aren't doing anything to me, and therefore I'm in the wrong and they're all in the right? Because I am the common denominator. So how do I begin to start with self-love when I get rejected no matter what I do? When people stomp all over me, whenever it suits them, whenever it suits them. And yes, I can be quite abrupt and I can be quite harsh. And I am brutally honest. I do not tell lies. I often will say something a lot more gently. I don't maliciously go around harming people. I don't tell people they're stupid or ugly or their behavior sucks. I tell them what I feel about them from my own perspective, and I'm pretty damn nice about it. But apparently that's not good enough. And apparently abusing me and belittling me and insulting me and swearing at me are all perfectly acceptable. And I probably would have thousands of close friends if I did accept them. So then where does self-love fit in? Because if I'm supposed to love myself, then surely I'm not supposed to allow people to abuse me. Surely I'm supposed to stand up for myself. I had a friend who told me I was confrontational. Every single time I saw this woman, "Oh, why do you have to be so confrontational?" Every time. It didn't matter if I saw her twice in the same day. She would tell me I'm confrontational. I didn't even have to say a word. And then she'd laugh, "Ha ha ha, it's so funny." Well, yeah, it's funny the first 2 or 3 times. It's not funny anymore when it's the 30th, 40th, 50th time. It's not funny anymore when you start adding it to behaviors. It's not funny anymore when you start seeing, hang on a minute, first she insults me, then she tells me I'm confrontational. First she tells me what I'm doing wrong, then she tells me that I'm confrontational. Or she tells me I'm confrontational, and then she tells me what she expects me to do. And believe me, what she expected me to do wasn't mutually beneficial. So how do I start with self-love when I can't even find mutually beneficial friendships? I do have 1 or 2, maybe 3 mutually beneficial friendships where the person doesn't expect me to give and give and give and give and give, where the person doesn't step all over my boundaries, where the person respects me as a person, where I respect them as a person, where I don't step all over their boundaries, where I treat them the way they want to be treated and the way I want to be treated. And make no mistake, I am not a difficult person. I'm actually remarkably easy. I have very few needs because I've learned that my needs aren't important. I've learned that other people come before me, and I've always put other people before me. And so help me when I start putting myself ahead of other people's wants and desires. And I'm not saying needs, I'm saying wants. You know, if somebody needs a shoulder to cry on, a helping hand, I will do it. I will help. I will be a shoulder. But when they expect it, in spite of what they have done, in spite of what they are doing, then they're stomping on me. Then they're stomping on me. And I've learned that I can't allow that anymore. So, yeah, I have 2, maybe 3 friends. One who I speak to regularly. And in the common denominator of all the relationships that have gone belly up and pear-shaped, I am the common denominator. I am the one that is always left out in the cold, that is always left holding the bag, that is always trying to fix something. And the other people, well, they couldn't actually care less. They couldn't actually care less. They may give me lip service. Short of that, they couldn't care less. They don't care how much they harm me. They don't care how much they've taken advantage of me. So where does self-love come into it? You know, you draw a boundary with someone in a friendship. You show displeasure at an action, a behavior, wording, and you get ostracized. And a lot of people turn around and say, well done. You know, you've learned a lesson and you're moving forward. Because a person who does that to you, you don't deserve to have them in your life. Or they don't deserve to have you in your life, rather. You in their life. But who holds the can at the end of it? Who ends up being on their own? Is it the person who took advantage of you? Is it the person who disregarded you? No, it's you. And in this case, it's me. Because self-sacrifice is not self-love. You can't sacrifice yourself for others. Because if you do it once, and then you do it a second time, it becomes expected. It becomes a routine and a habit. And the day you say, I don't want to sacrifice myself anymore, they turn you into a pariah. They take you down. They turn the entire situation around and make you into the bad guy or girl or whatever. Hell, I'm sick of these bloody pronouns and crap that have to be spoken about. You know what, people? We are people. Get over yourselves. Get over your genders. There are people with real problems out there. So if I refer to a man and you're a woman, you're not being excluded. And if I refer to a woman and you're a man, you're not being excluded. I'm just speaking. I don't care what gender you are. I have been harmed by both genders. Hell, I have the best role models for it. The one was called a mother and the other was called a father. And they were opposite genders. So trust me, when I speak about people harming people, I'm not referring to a single gender. Both genders do it. Both genders do it pretty damn well. Pretty damn well. And both can be physical and both can be verbal and mental and emotional. So spare me the, oh, you're talking about him and you keep saying he hits, not all men are the same. No, not all men are the same. And not all women are the same either. Just because your husband was unfaithful in your marriage doesn't mean another man's wife hasn't been unfaithful in his marriage. Just because a man beat a woman up does not mean a woman didn't beat a man up. Both genders have bad characteristics. Both genders can be abusive. Both genders can be malicious. Although in fairness, it has been psychologically proven that females tend to do a different type of mental violence. It's a lot more sadistic. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with self-love, although it does. Because I'm defending my right to speak freely without hemming and hurrying and worrying about, oh my goodness, I said a man hit a woman. Now I better say a woman hit a man, otherwise someone's going to be offended. Self-love is allowing me to speak. Me, not you who has a problem with gender, not you who has a problem with the various types of violence. Me. This is for me. And like I said right at the beginning, I don't care if you listen or not. This is for me to work out what it is that is so bloody horribly wrong with my life that I don't want to live. Because I don't want to live. I don't want to. I can't see any reason for it. I can't see any purpose in it. I can't see any point in being verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically abused by every Tom, Dick, Harry, Bob, Mary, Joe, Josephine. The violence is ludicrous. The race violence, gender violence. I mean, South Africa at the moment is an absolute shitstorm. Why? Donald Trump decided to offer Afrikaners refuge, i.e. white Afrikaans farmers. And suddenly every other comment that I see on Twitter, you can call it X if you like, I don't care, it's still Twitter to me. Every other comment on Twitter is, oh, you people must just bugger off and give us our land back. And people, whites are posting against blacks and blacks are posting against whites. And the violence that is coming through is unnecessary. It's being fueled by governments to create fear. But people don't see it. And I'm tired of it. I don't want to live anymore. And no, I don't qualify to go to America under Afrikaner refugee status. I am white, but I'm not an Afrikaner and I'm not a farmer. Yes, the family came from farming stock. But no, I'm not subject to farm violence, except in the media and in stories from friends. So, spare me your judgments. Stop judging me for trying to be me. Stop judging me for how I speak. And if I use the wrong gender, just know it includes the other one. Amber. Come on, kitty. This is little Amber Vicious, or Amberlicious, depends on how she feels. So self-love. How does one begin to want to live when you don't know how to love yourself? Because everybody you know shows you how unlovable you are, how awful you are, how do you begin to figure out what self-love is? You know, I've heard, read, whatever, where people say you need to do inner child healing. Heal your inner child. I don't know where that inner child is. I don't know what it is. I don't remember it. I don't remember it. So how am I supposed to love myself? How? And please, the comments are open. And don't worry about hurting me. I don't think there's much that can hurt me anymore. I think I'm better at hurting myself than anybody else at this point. Anyway, I suppose I need to pull myself towards myself. Have a great day now.